Revenge is a choice, not a fact. Bullying, only an 8-lettered word that weighs heavy on the scales of mental health. In a quiet classroom, where you could almost hear a pin drop, Jim's voice suddenly cut through the air sharp and mean. Laughter followed, and everyone turned to see what was happening. Jim had set his sight on Billy, the poor guy who had fallen asleep during a boring lecture. His friends decided to start their day with art, the canvas being Billy's face. Billy was a deep sleeper, and that made things easy for his bullies. As he woke up, he got up perplexed.
"Look at Billy. See his face? Is he about to cry?"
Jim teased, making fun of Billy in front of everyone. The classroom that was initially quiet was now filled with the sound of laughter, but it wasn't the kind that stems from happiness. It was rather fueled by cruelty. Billy, who had become the star of the scene, was the victim of Jim's everyday pranks. Jim's words were like a razor, sharp and hurtful, cutting through the calm atmosphere of the classroom. Billy, lost in the sweet embrace of sleep earlier, had no idea he had become the center of attention in the worst possible way. As Jim continued his merciless teasing, the atmosphere in the room turned uncomfortable. The contrast between the once hushed classroom and Jim's cutting remarks created a tense moment. Jim's laughter, joined by others, painted a picture of mockery and embarrassment. Billy was on the verge of crying. He held back tears and put his head down again. The whole scene was like a snapshot of a not-so-nice story unfolding. Just a usual day in the life of an overweight Billy. Jenk High School, or so Billy jokingly called it, Jerk High School, was a tough place for him. His physical appearance carried an unfair label, fat, but it was his emotional armor that proved disappointingly thin. It wasn't just about his size. It was like he carried an invisible weight of negativity. In this challenging environment, Billy found solace in Tam, his one true friend. Tam was the person to whom Billy could pour out his heart, revealing the stories of the past 2 years. These were tales marked not just by the visible scars, but also the hidden ones, wounds that ran deep beneath the surface. Billy's struggles went beyond what his classmates saw on the outside. He faced not only the teasing for his physical appearance, but also the emotional toll it took on him. Each day seemed like an uphill battle, and Jerk High School lived up to its unkind nickname in Billy's world. Getting out of bed was getting difficult by the day, for he knew what awaited him for the rest of the day. Tam became the keeper of Billy's secrets, a confidant in a sea of torment. Together they faced the challenges of high school life, where the weight of judgments and hurtful labels seemed to define every interaction. In Tam, Billy found a rare gem, someone who saw beyond the unfair tags and connected with the person beneath. But what can one person do against the whole world? As the duo navigated the complexities of high school, Billy's emotional armor, though thin, became his shield against harsh words and judgmental stares. In the hushed corners of their secret conversations, Billy found the courage to share the heavy burden he carried with his friend Tam. With a breaking voice, he confessed,
"Tam, I really don't even want to go on. Life feels meaningless to me. People are unkind. I want to kill myself sometimes. Pray that my misery somehow comes to an end."
These words, laden with the weight of his struggles, hung in the air like a poignant melody, a desperate plea for relief from the cruelty that seemed to shadow him. He was literally crying for help. Night after night, Billy found himself entangled in a silent war against the relentless grip of depression. Sleep became a sacrifice, a battleground where he fought to escape the torment of his inner demons. Yet, with the break of each unforgiving day, a new set of adversaries emerged. Bullies like shadows in the harsh light seized every chance to make his life more unbearable. wetting his pants, painting his face, braiding his hair, breaking his spectacles. Each day unfolded with a new form of torment. Billy endured them all quietly. Jim, the ringleader of this daily torture, sneered,
"You're such a menace to look at."
and his words echoed through the corridors of Billy's mind, amplifying the pain he felt. The minutes stretched into hours, and Billy found himself yearning for each day to end, hoping for a respite from the struggles that seemed to define his daily life. A quarter century drifted by, and in that time, a remarkable transformation unfolded in the story of Billy. He went from being a chubby guy to donning the role of a gym trainer and eventually found his calling as a police officer. His clothes, once loose on his round frame, now clung to him like a second skin, buttons straining against the muscles beneath, showcasing the hard-earned strength and resilience he had cultivated over the years. On the surface, he seemed to have it all, a fit physique and a purposeful career. But who knew what was inside? As the years slipped away, Billy's physical journey mirrored his inner struggles. The gym became not just a place to sculpt his body, but a sanctuary where he chiseled away the shadows of his past. It served as a refuge, a space where he could release the pent-up emotions that lingered within. The weight of the dumbbells became a metaphor for the burdens he carried. Each lifts a step towards liberation from the shackles of his history. Billy worked out until his mind was at peace, consistently every day of every week. Billy's clothes, once chosen to conceal, now told a different story. They hugged the contours of his body, revealing the strength and determination that had become the pillars of his identity. The buttons of his shirt strained against the force of his muscles, a visual testament to the battles he had fought and conquered. In the midst of his physical triumphs and professional achievements, Billy continued to grapple with the echoes of his past. As a police officer, Billy found a sense of purpose in protecting others. His transformation added a layer of purpose to his life, a commitment to safeguarding others from the kind of struggles he once endured. He wanted to ensure he was the last of his kind. The uniform he wore symbolized not only his commitment to justice, but also his defiance against the victimhood that once defined him. Yet, behind the badge and the stern exterior, the memories remained, a reminder that transformation is an ongoing journey and healing takes time. Billy showcased resilience, a living example of how a human being has the capacity to overcome anything. His physical transformation was hope itself, inspiring those around him to believe that there was a possibility of change. Yet, he endured the complexity of healing, a journey that extends beyond the visible milestones and into the depths of one's innermost struggles. In the twilight of those 25 years, as Billy stood tall in his police uniform, the pain persisted. It was a silent companion. Far beneath this outward display of strength, a locked box in his mind held the memories he chose to keep at bay. Hidden within the recesses of his mind, Billy safeguarded it, containing the memories of his past. The locked box was a place where Billy stowed away the pain, the bullying, and the moments of despair. It was a private vault, storing the fragments of his past that he wasn't ready to confront openly. The key to this box remained firmly in his grasp, a symbol of the control he exerted over the chapters of his life that were too painful to revisit. One day, near a bustling road, a dramatic moment unfolded, a place filled with the constant hum of cars zooming by. On this particular day, fate decided to play a significant role. A burly biker cruising along on his heavy bike found himself in the midst of an unfortunate accident. A collision with a truck sent him crashing to the pavement. The symphony of traffic screeched to an abrupt halt as concerned bystanders gathered around the scene. In this chaotic moment, destiny pointed its fingers at on-duty policeman Billy. With an air of responsibility, he stepped forward, ready to take charge. The injured biker staggered towards Billy, desperately seeking help. Adding to the mystery, the truck driver responsible for the chaos had vanished into thin air. All eyes looked at Billy now. He looked right for the job and brought expectations to rise. Billy, a man of action, immediately switched into duty mode. Adjusting his glasses to get a clearer view, he calmly assessed the situation. Now, this wasn't just any accident scene, it was a stage where unexpected twists awaited. Looking straight into the biker's eyes, he was speechless for a moment. He looked closely for a while from all angles to see if what he saw was reality or hallucination taking over. Upon confirmation, Billy spoke with an unusual tranquility.
"Take a look at Jim. Is he about to cry?"
Jim, still in shock from both the accident and the sudden appearance of Billy, found himself at a loss for words. As if time had folded back on itself, high school memories resurfaced for Jim. Despite the bleeding wound on his head, he dropped to the ground. Lying there, Jim locked eyes with Billy, who seemed to hold a certain familiarity. The unexpected reunion in this dire moment added layers of complexity to an already intense situation. The road beneath Jim became a stage for a reunion neither of them saw coming. The accidents of life, both literal and metaphorical, collided at that moment. It wasn't just about tending to physical wounds. It was about confronting the emotional scars that time hadn't fully healed. The onlookers, initially bystanders to an accident, now unknowingly witnessed a chapter of two lives intersecting amidst the chaos of metal and screeching tires. Amidst the commotion, Jim lay on the ground, wounded but strangely composed, gazing up at Billy with an unwavering stare. It was an eerie calmness, as if Jim was attempting to grasp the sudden turn of events. The scene unfolded like a surreal painting, with chaos as its backdrop and Jim's inquiries as the brushstrokes that painted a vivid picture of despair. In this pivotal moment, Billy found himself standing on the crossroads of choice. He could either step into the role of a hero, a rescue from the wreckage, or he could let Jim endure the misery that clung to him like a shadow. The decision weighed on Billy's shoulders, and as he looked down at Jim, something clicked. As the life drained from Jim's face, a peculiar transformation occurred. The vibrant hues of red, yellow, and the blue played across Jim's face in a strange sequence. These were the colors Jim had once used to paint Billy's face during their shared childhood. Each shade triggered a different memory, like chapters of a story long forgotten. These colors were not just pigments on Jim's face, they were the palette of Billy's misery. Billy, caught in this unexpected flood of memories, felt the weight of a box he had carefully sealed away long ago. In the midst of the accident wreckage, this box burst open, releasing a surge of emotions that had been confined for far too long. Instead of merely addressing the visible wounds, he extended a hand to Jim, not just to pull him from the pavement, but also to help him rise from the emotional baggage that surround them. Reluctantly, as if dragging the weight of history, Billy chose to embrace his duty. His strong arms cradled Jim's frail form, and with determination etched on his face, he raced towards a nearby rest shop. The usual hustle and bustle of the town seemed to fade into the background as the urgency of the situation took center stage. The absence of an ambulance intensified the gravity of the moment. Billy, now a reluctant hero, found himself applying pressure to Jim's wounds. Passerby, initially mere spectators, began to sense the depth of the situation. A silent understanding formed among them as they watched a complex tale of redemption and the struggle against one's own past. The rest stop, once a mundane spot in the backdrop, became a sight for this unfolding story. Billy, with his sleeves rolled up and determination in his eyes, was not just saving a foe, he was confronting the ghosts of his own youth. The air was thick as the color drained from Jim's face. His eyes, once sparkling with mischief, were now filled with tears, reflecting both physical agony and the weight of unresolved emotions. As Jim looked up at Billy, tear-filled eyes met eyes heavy with concern and regret. In a voice strained by pain, Jim began to speak. Words tumbled out like fragments of a broken melody, seeking forgiveness for past wrongs.
I'm sorry, Billy.
That's it. That's all Jim could muster up the energy to deliver. Tears streamed down Billy's face as he listened to Jim's heartfelt apology. The air between them was heavy with the weight of unspoken grievances, regrets, and the scars of high school. It was as though Billy had waited all his life for Jim to utter those words. As Jim apologized, a flood of memories rushed through Billy's mind, the trauma and pain. The journey of forgiveness is often a rocky road, but in that moment, Billy found strength in his heart to offer forgiveness. With a voice cracked with emotion, Billy responded, "Jim, we are here in this moment, and I forgive you." The simplicity of those words held a profound healing power. It was a declaration that the past, with all its scars, would not define their future. Billy decided to find the key to his box, unlock it, take all the contents out, and throw them away once and for all. As Billy forgave, he felt a weight lift off his chest. The tears that had flowed in sorrow now carried the weight of release. It was a beautiful moment, a turning point in both Jim and Billy's lives that held a promise of renewal. Jim was still in pain, but freed from the burden of guilt. He gained the courage to look at Billy. He saw him, this time with a mix of gratitude and astonishment. Soaked in blood at the rest shop, the echoes of forgiveness had set them free. Billy, once wounded by the actions of his bully, finally stood healed by the power of forgiveness. In the distance, the haunting wail of an ambulance siren cut through the silence, signaling a new chapter in their intertwined lives. As the ambulance arrived on the highway, Billy lifted Jim in his arms. Racing against time, Billy carried Jim to the waiting ambulance. Paramedics swiftly took control, laying Jim on a stretcher with urgency. Heart monitors beeped and breathing apparatuses were attached, creating a scene of hope. Another paramedic worked diligently to stop the bleeding from Jim's head wound. In the midst of all this, Billy held Jim's hand. The once tormentor now gasped for breath through a mask. And the irony of the situation wasn't lost on Billy. Who would have thought that the person who once pushed him to the brink of suicide would one day rely on him for a chance at life? The ambulance sped towards the hospital. Upon arrival, the staff took over, separating Billy and Jim. Jim, still conscious, locked eyes with Billy as he was wheeled away. There was a silent understanding that transcended words, time rewritten in the unspoken language of shared glances. Billy was left waiting in the hospital lobby, feeling a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. An hour later, Jim emerged from surgery in his all-white recovery room, his eyes searching for Billy, the same face he once thought a menace to look at. As he lifted his eyelids, he saw Billy, through his blurry vision, sitting on a chair by his bedside, waiting for him to wake up. Jim smiled at Billy. The smile was enough to create peace between them. It was a smile that spoke of healing. At that moment, Billy had an epiphany. Revenge. And although tempting path is a choice, one that he had initially planned but later consciously avoided, the right choice, he realized, was made. The power to let go and break free from the chains of the past is not in seeking vengeance, but in showing compassion towards those who made it unbearable. Only then can one truly heal. Both of them sat there in silence, but the air between them was calm for the first time in 25 years.